after this buffalo pizza?
You could do that. You got buffalo pizza here.
Oh.
What was it? I forgot how it was.
I know what it is. He doesn't believe in marriage. Not interested. Me, I'm like, everybody should be with one person for their whole life. I totally see a lot of benefits to a lot of them. So I said you probably enjoy watching Married at First Sight because to you, it's like kind of like a circus that you don't have to be a part of, but you want to watch a circus, but you don't want to be in the circus. And that's probably exactly why he's into this particular show.
That's the quote I wanted to use that I forgot. That I don't want to be in the circus, but I like watching the circus. So I don't want to be married, but I actually like to see the disasters or whatever it is that goes on in the show.
He is flat out said. Oh, you see?
Who you're looking for? If my family was here, they would laugh because they would be like, my mother scroll. Most importantly,
Eileen
is indeed a Christian.
What's rigid again? I don't know vocabulary.
Like when something's rough around the edges.
Oh. Okay. I forget. Like, I'm talking to you.
The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow. I'm begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans. That's my man. You know that my train could take you home. Anywhere else is hollow. I'm begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans. That's my man.
And now I had two strangers that I did not even know my biggest secret. And I felt embarrassed. I did not like the fact that he shared my secret without talking to me first and asking me if it was okay. I got all dressed up and I said, let's take a little walk. And I said, I understand if you needed to, tell one of your best friends or something. I get that if you need to tell one of your friends because this is a lot to take in about this woman that you just met and that you're having these feelings for. And you're trying to figure out if this is a situation that you want to put yourself in. I understand that. But when it's the mom, that's like shooting me in the foot. That's like not even giving me a chance because if something was to happen with us in the future and I don't know her, she may think nothing of it. She may think everything of it. But how would I know? Because she's a stranger who knows my secret. And I said, I came here because I was going to tell you we should just end things. And he said, well, I don't want it to end. No end. That's what he said. And I said, but when I was driving over here, all I kept hearing in my head over and over and over again was your gut laugh. And if I was going to stay with you for one reason right now, it would be because I don't want to lose that gut laugh in my life. Maybe we just need to take a step back and slow things down and just kind of recalibrate. And that's what we did. So after that day, we kind of came to this conclusion of some sorts that my plan was not going to happen because now I was going to see what this new door was going to bring. And I was going to step inside and give life another chance. So it wasn't off the table, but my plan was postponed.
Well, it's time for the tea because we are just about there. And I'm so excited to finally be so close to telling you guys exactly how I got past my suicide. I'm so grateful for all of your support, all your messages. They mean so much to me. Thank you for sharing. I know suicide is uncomfortable. Nobody likes to talk about it. Nobody likes to have that conversation. Share the video anyways. Don't do it for you, do it for somebody else. Let's get into it. So Lammy and I had adventured on. We were together for a year, and as you can tell, a lot can happen in a year. We became official. We met each other's families. We went on family vacations with each other's families. We were falling hard for each other. That's one thing that set Lammy apart from my previous relationships. I could sing around him and dance around him and be goofy around him. I could just let loose and just be myself around him. There was only one thing we couldn't get past: my suicide brain. I created this huge fight or flight mentality. If a difference came up, I would be quick to leave. I would be quick to break up. I didn't trust to give us the benefit of the doubt. I was just in flight mode. I didn't want to ask him to make any adjustments or make any changes. I just assumed that he wouldn't even want to or wouldn't even try. So rather than trying to hope that something would budge on his end, it would just be easier just for me to leave. I made a lot of really strange mistakes. I would tell my boyfriend that I want him to find a woman, a really good, respectful woman that could make him happy so that one of us could have a win. Because I kept telling him, I don't think I'm meant to be happy in my life. I don't think I'm meant to have long-term happiness. I think I'm always going to struggle with this depression, and misery mindset that I had, this negative mindset. I kept assuming that we were going to break up, and I would say, when you get bored of me and you leave, I want you to give me an Oreo. An Oreo would be, oh, Eileen, you're so beautiful, you're so smart, but I don't think that we're going to work out. But I really do think that you're a great woman and you're going to be a great asset for somebody. That's what an Oreo is. And I would always tell him. I didn't recognize that I was projecting a lot of the stuff from my past, from people leaving or a lot of loss and grief. And I was projecting it right onto my boyfriend, who was telling me all the time, I want to be with you. I've never met anyone like you, Eileen. You're the one for me. He literally said to me, Eileen, there's no one else for me but you. And in my head, I couldn't hear it. In my head, all I heard was, this guy's probably gonna leave because everybody leaves. Even if he didn't leave by choice, I constantly thought he was gonna get sick and die. He was gonna get cancer. He was gonna get in a car accident. Something was gonna happen and he was gonna die. Or he was just gonna get bored of me and leave. I was commenting on a movie we were watching and he said, Eileen, I thought I was negative, but you always have death on the brain. And I said, oof, man, if I want to make things work with this guy, I gotta fix my attitude. And I couldn't. It was just something that became impulsive inside of me where I couldn't even control my own negativity around him. And that's not the thing that attracted him to me. It was something that was catching up to me because I never dealt with it. And when you don't deal with your fears, you're forced to face them later. I continually kept self-sabotaging my own relationship. And it wasn't on purpose, but I didn't even realize that I was doing it. I just kept saying the most strangest things, like for him to get another girlfriend or for him to go find him some happiness, that I need him to win because I was never going to win at life. And he just kept saying, Eileen, what about you? What about your happiness? And I couldn't hear any of it. I was so just trapped in that suicide fog negative brain. I could not see anything other than me being in a fog for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a great girlfriend. I wanted to be his best friend. I wanted to marry him and live together and build a life together. And I wanted him to be the father of my kids. I wanted all those things because I trusted that I would be proud to be with him because of who he was. I did have a time where there was somewhat of an identity crisis because he was not a believer of marriage. It put me in a place where I had to make a decision of, if I stay with this guy, I'm going to have to live with him and not be married, which means I'm just going to have to live like my life having sex with this boyfriend, like an indefinite girlfriend thing. It just sounds weird. It doesn't make sense to me in my head. It wasn't something I wanted to do. But as time went on, I made the decision that, well, doing it that way in my previous chapter of life failed me. So if I have this guy who's complete opposite of what I had before, and we are happy together in the sense that we do respect each other and we do care about each other, and we try very hard not to have these expectations, someone who is complete opposite and have great chemistry with and can see myself building a life and can actually want to have kids with this one, then why not just change how I chose to live life? So I said, all right, I'll be the indefinite girlfriend and I will give that a go and let's see if that works out for us. And we did start having a sexual relationship, and then that was always competing with who I was, and that was hard for me too. He tried so many times to keep us together, and I always came back because loving him wasn't my problem. He wasn't my problem. He even said, Eileen, I don't believe in marriage, but I believe in you. And I would put marriage on the table for you. And the fact that he would trust me enough to say that is a big deal, because I understood why he felt the way he felt. And I had never asked him to put that on the table for me. And he did that on his own. And there was something about it that still told me this wasn't enough. He was still going to leave. He was going to get bored or he was going to die. There was not a situation that I can think of long term where I didn't lose Lamar in my brain. That didn't exist for me. And I needed him to tell me that he was never going to leave me. I needed him to say, we're never going to get divorced. I needed him to say, I want you to be my wife, and I want to be your husband, and I want you to be my bride. I needed him to say like all these things. And because I was in such that positive deficit, I was looking to him to fill it up and overflow it. Like that was his responsibility or something. And I knew it wasn't his responsibility, but I made it out to be in that time. The sad part of this whole thing right now is he offered to put marriage on the table. And he asked me, Eileen, can you promise me that you will never end your life? And I told him, I can't take that off the table for you. I needed to have it as an option just in case I don't know what's going to happen in my life. And I don't want to promise you something. I'm not going to promise you something if I need to have that available to me. I needed that option. And he was very hurt to hear that. And it wasn't fair because I was asking him to promise me forever, and I was not willing to promise him forever. And that was not okay. This man, even at my lowest point, was able to find so much value in me at the worst, lowest point in my life to want to give himself to me in marriage, and told me he wanted to have children with me and he wanted to build a life together. And I was terrified to believe him that he was not going to disappear or leave. And he had never done anything that would lead me to believe that he was going to leave. He never made me feel concerned to be jealous. I never had to worry about him lying to me. I didn't have to worry about the way he spoke to me or cussing at me or calling me names. We didn't have that kind of dramatic, tumultuous relationship. He didn't break up with me. He was there. He showed up. He called me. He gave me my good mornings every day, and I still couldn't see it. Finally, I depleted him. I broke up with him again over something that didn't even happen. Something I thought he said. I thought he cussed at me, but he didn't. He said a cuss word, but he wasn't cussing at me. This time, I didn't even give him the respect to give him the benefit of the doubt to explain the situation of what happened. I broke up with Lamb after a year of a relationship, and I broke up with him over a text. And he did not deserve that. And that was not okay. And I told him, don't try to fix this. And this time he didn't. He didn't come back. He gave up on me, and he had every right to do so. He never came back for me as my lamb. He said we can only try to be friends, but that he couldn't do this anymore, this back and forth. I did that, and I take full responsibility for it. This is what your life looks like when you don't resolve your problems, when you don't resolve your issues, when you don't resolve your inner demons. This is what you do to the people around you. You push them away, you self-sabotage, you ruin good things, and then you get sad later because nobody's there, or because the people before you screw you over, and then you project all of that into the new person that you're with. Whether they're friends, whether they're churches, whether they're Christian people in your life, whether they are teenagers, whether they're your parents, whether they're your family, it doesn't matter. We take all the crap that people put on our lives and then we push it onto somebody else, and we ruin the new relationships where we do have potential to have a great life, to have some happiness, and then we screw these people over. And that's not okay. And the only way to avoid doing that is by dealing with ourselves and taking ownership over our pains. So I hope you're learning from my suicide fog. Sure. Now you have to watch. The next episode is when I finally take it off the table. And you don't want to miss it, because either you or someone you know has been going through this stuff, has been going through this suicide fog, has been going through this negative brain, has been depressed or has anxiety, can't figure it out, can't find that puzzle piece. I have those puzzle pieces. I figured it out, and it's coming up. So make sure that you share this video, make sure you share this channel on YouTube, and make sure that you take inventory of your life and of your actions, and ask yourself if the way that you are treating someone a true reflection of who you are. Because if it's not, and you screw people over, that's your fault, not theirs, when they leave, because you've not dealt with your own self. So make sure you take inventory of how you're treating the people around you, because if they're treating you poorly, if they leave, you need to find out if it's your fault first. If you're dealing with somebody who has this suicide fog, if you're dealing with somebody who has this negative tunnel vision, I would just encourage you just to wait, just to give them patience. And I'm asking for me, just to give them a little more patience, because you don't know when they're right on that cusp of figuring it out. You don't know if they need that extra little patience for them to get to the next day. And it just takes that one aha moment to snowball for them to be okay. So I'm asking you to give them a little bit of patience, give them a lot of kindness, a lot of hugs, and a lot of kind words. And I hope that you watch these next episodes, because you're going to see exactly what I did to take it off the table, and you're going to see exactly what I did to figure out my puzzle piece as to why I was having those suicidal thoughts. And it's something that I never imagined. So make sure you're watching. Thank you so much for your support.